Hi, thanks everyone for joining us for today's webinar. We shall get started. So today what you're going to get from this webinar is an understanding of recruitment challenges. So these are challenges that we keep hearing from businesses as to why they're struggling to recruit. We'll then throw it over to you guys to hear if there are any other challenges that we need to factor in. We're then going to share some top tips, takeaways for you on how to attract candidates in 2019. And if you stick with us to the end, we've got an exclusive offer for you. So let's start by introducing ourselves. Access Generation is a social enterprise that's primary aim is to encourage businesses to employ inexperienced young people. We do that by providing top tips and insights online for free. Have a look at the blogs and the downloads on our website. The details are on the screen. We've been part funded by the Prince's Trust over the last year and sponsored and supported by Vacancy Filler, who join us on the webinar today. Here's some of the companies that we've been supported by or that we've worked with. And here's who's behind the screen and talking to you today. So I'm Jem from Access Generation, and joining me is Jay.
And I'm Jason Staniforth, Marketing Director for Vacancy Filler. So we're keen to get you guys involved in this webinar. So we've got a couple of questions that we're going to ask you throughout. If you can use the chat box and just put your answers in there, then we'll comment on some of those throughout, and any questions at the end we can also answer for you. So to get started, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much has recruiting become a challenge in the last 6 to 12 months for your organisation? If you use 1 as being not at all and 10 as being a massive challenge for you, if you can enter those into the chat box now, that'd be great. Wow, lots of answers coming in.
Lots of 7s, 8s and 10s. It's quite high.
A good mixture there, but mostly above 5. In fact, all above 5. Awesome, that's great.
Okay, so you're obviously all here today to get some top tips because recruitment is a challenge, and it's something that we're hearing a lot with employers. And in fact, what we're finding is that there are 4 areas of concern, 4 topics that we keep hearing from employers that we meet. So we're going to talk you through those 4 topics and see if you agree. First up is Brexit. So the uncertainties have many employers startled like a rabbit in a car's headlights. They're too afraid to move and frozen by fear. We don't know what we don't know, but yet there are some numbers and studies out there that are telling us why Brexit is a recruitment challenge. First of all, we have up to 35% of process entry-level roles being fulfilled by EU workers. So some industries more than others will rely on that pool of talent, so such as cleaning, hospitality, and public service such as NHS. And even though we're not out the other side of Brexit yet, the latest labour market statistics show that only 7,000 EU workers came into the UK during Q1 of this year. And that's compared to the same quarter last year where 148,000 entered our labour market. So it's easy to see why Brexit is being blamed as a recruitment issue for some industries. The second recruitment challenge that we keep hearing is that there's a shortage of candidates because the unemployment rate is so low. So we must be near full employment. Well, that's if we believe what the government statistics are showing us. Being employed in that pool includes the gig economy, 0-hour contracts, and being self-employed. But not all of this type of work is meaningful, and not all the workers would choose those options if meaningful jobs were available and accessible to them. So despite all this noise about full employment and low unemployment rates, there are still 794,000 inexperienced 16 to 24-year-olds that are not in education, employment or training. So for a business who makes themselves attractive to millennials, Gen Z and the next wave of digital natives, this offers a real opportunity. The third on our list of recruitment challenges is the perception of a lack of skills. Employees who entered the latest East Midlands Chambers of Commerce survey blamed the lack of skills as the main reason they are struggling to recruit. Now, this is something that at Access Generation we challenge with employers because we think to some degree there is a skill shortage, but not to the extent being expressed. There are some industries creating jobs where skills don't match, but this is a really small number. So if you look at industries like engineering or the creatives, there are jobs being created where the skills aren't being taught in education. But through our research, where young people assess 250 job section on company websites, we found that 2 out of 3 businesses were not offering entry-level roles. So for example, an admin role with an automotive company would be out of reach for a young person because the company would ask for automotive industry experience. So when businesses talk about a lack of skills, we challenge them and ask, are you lacking skills or are you asking for experience? Because the two are very different. Our final recruitment challenge that we keep hearing about is the lack of brand awareness. So here's some quotes from businesses that we've met and spoken to. Nobody knows who we are. Our industry is boring. Young people don't want to work in our industry. And our brand is known nationally, but not known locally. So a quick recap of our recruitment challenges. So you've got Brexit, full employment, lack of skills, and lack of brand awareness. Jay, does this reflect what you've been hearing?
Yeah, so just in terms of the previous slide around employer justification for struggling to attract the right talent, comments such as our industry is boring and young people don't want to work in our sector. I'm a big believer that what you focus on expands. So if you enter a project with a negative mindset around your sector or your company, that is the mindset that's going to lead the creation of your recruitment message. And ultimately, that's the message that's going to be received on the other end. I think you need a positive mindset, a mindset that believes, and I mean truly believes that, you know, this is the best job you could have. This is the industry to be in. This is, you know, the daddy of all careers, because positivity will breed positivity and like minds attract. So you either need to change the mindset internally, or you need to find the internal evangelist somewhere within your organization who would jump at the opportunity to shout about your company and the industry that you work in, because that is the person who should help to craft your recruitment message. And I guess one thing that I would probably add in to the 4 that you gave, Jem, and that would be around the focus that companies place on time and cost of hire. So in terms of focusing on time and money, the number one focus for most organizations today, I guess outside of finding the right talent, is reducing the time and costs associated with recruitment. You know, you'll all agree this is nothing new. This isn't anything revolutionary, but this has been the focus for most HR and recruitment teams for a number of years now. And I'm sure some of you guys in this webinar, it's currently or has previously been a focus of yours. So whether it's buying a cheaper ATS, looking for cheaper job boards, or negotiating lower rates with your agencies, the struggle for a faster and cheaper recruitment process is a widespread and ongoing fight. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Jemma, you ready for this?
Yeah.
So it's really simple, but in order to reduce both the time and cost of your recruitment process, you've got to stop focusing on reducing the time and cost of your recruitment process. A bit confusing maybe, but let me explain. Time and cost savings are a result. In effect, I guess they could be what you might call the fruit. And focusing on changing the fruit will never solve the problem. As I say, in order to fix the fruit, you must first fix the root. And as the saying suggests, what companies should be focusing on are the roots, because the roots are what cause the problem. So if companies start to focus on the recruitment brand, if they better promote the opportunities available, and if they improve the experience that candidates have when engaging with those candidates, these root problems will actually start to fix the fruit problems. Again, if we can just get you all to share your thoughts on this. Based on what you've just heard, do you agree that these are the challenges that businesses are facing today around recruitment? So again, just use the chat box, type in yes or type in no. Lots of yeses there. Okay, so most of you seem to agree with us there. Root problems will start to fix the fruit problems. So back to you guys in the webinar. Do you agree that these are the challenges that businesses are facing today? So if you want to open your chat boxes and just put yes or no to let us know what your feedback is so far.
And if there's anything you feel that we've missed in terms of recruitment challenges, do tell us in the chat box as well.
Resounding yes.
Yes, that's good. No.
Oh, Julie.
Julie, do you have any other recruitment challenges that you would throw in the ring?
Yeah, we can come back to that.
We'll come back to any comments that come up there. Okay, so we're going into the main part of the webinar now, which is why you're all here today, which is the top tips to attract candidates in 2019. So now we've got an understanding of those issues that businesses are facing. We want to share with you our top tips and help you improve your recruitment processes and your recruitment strategy for next year. So let's start with brand storytelling and employer branding. By investing in your employer branding, you can reduce your employee turnover by 28%. So if you're struggling to recruit, it can be all too easy to increase your recruitment agency activity, but that can lead to more costs. So under employer branding, a company can actually create a virtuous circle between employee engagement, candidate attraction, and recruitment. And attraction all starts with your employer branding evidence. So what's your company purpose? Do you evidence your company culture? Jay, in your experience of recruitment marketing, can you tell us a bit about how important employer branding is?
Yeah, so I guess I do look at this from a marketing side of things. And I guess when it comes to your company brand and then your recruitment brand, we have to remember that they are different things. And I personally think that a lot of companies forget this. But what you must remember is that they massively affect each other. An example I'm thinking of here with Virgin Media, you've probably heard of this, it's quite well publicised, but poor candidate experience actually cost them over £4 million in revenue. I think it was 4.4 million. And this was all because unhappy candidates decided that they were no longer willing to give their money to a company that they felt had not treated them in the way that they'd expect to be treated by a company. And as a result, a lot of them went off to Sky and other providers. A good practice for HR and in-house recruitment teams would be to take on what would be to look at their way of marketing, look at the way that their marketing team attract customers to their business, and then apply similar practices to the way that they attract new employees to the business. I guess a simple example would be to look at how marketing structure a product or service offering and the type of language that they use, and then look at how obvious marketing make it as to where the prospect customer should click in order to buy the product or at least move through the buying journey. And if you look at it in the way that HR or recruitment teams should handle this, it should be just as easy, if not easier, and just as attractive to apply to work for the business as it is to buy from the business.
Great. And as Jay just touched on there, a lot of companies are great at promoting themselves as the product or service, but they forget to promote themselves as an employer. So before we move on to our next set of insights, can we just find out from everybody on the webinar, do you actually evidence your company purpose to the outside world? Is that something that you publish on your website? We can have a quick yes or no. Lots of yeses, that's good to know.
Yes, there.
Brilliant.
That's good, yeah, that's great.
It's great that you guys are obviously talking about yourselves on the outside world as an employer, because when we did our research on 250 company websites, we found that 4 out of 5 businesses were failing to promote themselves as an employer. And one of the issues that our research highlighted was that there was a lack of ownership and accountability when it came to employer branding. So I wanted to just find out from everybody, who actually owns employer branding in your organisation? Is it HR? Is it marketing? Is it both? Or if you don't know, simply put a question mark. Oh, a lot of boths. Okay. There's a real mixed bag there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
there is.
There's a lean towards both marketing or not sure. A few HR people are responsible.
Milli's handling it herself. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, brilliant. So we're going to go on to our second top tip, which is to look at your recruitment processes and make sure you're innovating or modernising them. The pace of change in the digital revolution is moving fast, and so is the expectations of candidates, none more so than the younger generation, who don't know a world without smartphones, without voice search, and without fake news. Candidates are comparing their online activities to your job application process. How do you think yours would compare? If you're shopping on Amazon, you can see a progress bar on your order. You get a confirmation and a receipt that you've made your purchase. But if you try to submit a job application, it often feels like it's going into a black hole. You get no acknowledgement, no feedback. So it's no surprise that the Prince's Trust's latest Youth Index report revealed alarming statistics on the young people's confidence and mental health. Candidates of all ages expect to see process details around timings and when feedback will be available. And remember, 80% of young people will go direct to your company's website to find out more about you, regardless of where you're posting the job advert. So if you're using Indeed, Monster, Reed, any of the jobs board, they would still want to know more about you as a company because they are looking for evidence that you match their criteria. If we're nearing full employment, as the government would suggest, then it's no longer just a case of you scoring the candidate. The candidate is now scoring you. And the last figure on the screen there that you can see from Reed, it applies to all job seekers of all ages. And that's a study based on 3,000 candidates. Jay, when it comes to modernising recruitment practices, what do you think?
I mean, we're a technology company ourselves, so I guess we try and be at the forefront of that technological change. But everyone knows technology is advancing, and candidates are going to experience this change, whether it's through you or someone else. So they're coming to expect a positive experience. Like you say, with Amazon, they have a good experience. eBay, social media, other social media channels, they're going to expect the same from you. In the same way that people expect you to just have a mobile phone for ease of communication now, because the technology is there. It's expected that your hiring process is automated and well communicated because they know the technology is available. So if you don't have it, that's a choice you are making as an organization, and candidates know that you have made that choice. So again, if we can all get you involved, you tell candidates what the application process is, including timings and when feedback will be available. So again, just yes or no in the chat box. That'd be great to get your feedback. Mixed bag again, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good mixture.
I've highlighted this, so that's good.
And you've highlighted this as being something that needs improving already. Okay, so you're not the time frame. Okay, awesome.
Okay, thank you everyone. So we're going on to our third tip now. Engaging with your local community. So when it comes to attracting and recruiting candidates, it's really essential that you think local. And if you're thinking about attracting the younger generation, you really need to consider transportation as a factor. And remember that schools, colleges and universities are a great source of candidates. And if you're involved in any kind of corporate social responsibility, charity or local social activities, remember that is a very attractive offer for candidates who are millennials and Gen Z. So a quick poll again, how many of you are actually involved with your local community? Do you have relationships with the local community, whether it be a school, college or charity in some way? Not as much as we would like. Lots of yeses. Few no, yes-ish, like that. Okay.
Yeah, good mixture again.
So let's just summarise our top tips to attract candidates next year. So you've got brand storytelling and employer branding. So do you evidence your company culture and your purpose externally? You need to look at innovating and modernising your recruitment processes. So does your recruitment process embrace technology? And you need to consider how you might engage with your local community. But with all of that, what we wanted to highlight as well, that there's no one answer. There's not a silver bullet. If you are struggling to recruit, then you're failing to attract. And becoming an employer of choice and having candidates come to you is the goal. So remember to consider the candidates as a customer and don't assume your website works. Ask yourself, are you confident your website represents your brand the way you would want? Jay, have you got any final thoughts?
Again, from a marketing perspective, I've done a couple of speaking slots now where this message has resonated quite well. But bring your marketing and HR team together, because you can both learn from each other. But you need your recruitment brand to be harmonious between both the company brand and the recruitment brand. And then the final thing, which I think a lot of people overlook, and it's probably one of the easiest things that you can do, is ride your own roller coaster. So go to your website, get to your careers page, and first of all, see how easy that is to do, because believe me, some companies it's not that easy to find. And then apply for your own job, test out the experience, and see what if you're satisfied with the level of communication that you get, because you need to not assume that just because it looks good, just because it's pretty, that the experience is going to be good, because beautiful isn't always logical, and logical isn't always beautiful. So you need to get a good balance between the two, both an attractive appearance that represents your brand, but also a good experience which is well communicated and leaves your candidates feeling well informed, cared for, and loved.
At this stage, have we got any questions at all? And whilst you're having to think about any questions that you might have for us, as a social enterprise, we like to capture any instances where we've had a social impact. So on the back of what you've heard today during our webinar, are you likely to make any changes? If so, please use the chat box on the webinar. Oh, got some comments coming through. Lots of yeses. Okay, that's good. Already a big focus for us for 2019. That's brilliant, Maria. Okay, that's perfect. So if you've got any questions, do pop them in the chat box. But whilst we're waiting, as promised, we said we'd have an exclusive offer for you. So thank you for listening to the end. We've got our contact details after the exclusive offer, so do stick around. So here's our exclusive offer just for you. If you want to know how attractive your company is from the outside, if you want candidates to come to you, and if you want to lower the amount you're spending on recruitment, then order a candidate accessibility assessment report. This will give you a gap analysis and recommendations, and it will be delivered by our young peer researchers. So the contact details are on the bottom there if you'd like any more details. And thank you for listening. Are there any final questions before we leave?